My name is Elena. I am 25 years old. This is the story of how I found my way home. I lived in the city for many years. Every day was the same. I woke up early. I went to work in a tall building. I sat at a computer for 8 hours. I came home tired. I ate dinner alone. I went to sleep. Then I woke up and did it all again. The city was loud. Cars filled the streets. People walked fast and never smiled. The air smelled like smoke. I could not see the stars at night. The buildings were too tall. The lights were too bright. I was not happy. I felt empty inside. Something was missing from my life. One day, I received a letter. It was from my grandmother. She lived far away in the countryside. I had not seen her for 10 years. The letter said, "My dear Elena, I am getting old. Please come and visit me. I have something important to tell you. With love, grandmother." I felt worried. Was my grandmother sick? I took time off from work. I packed a small bag. I took a train to the countryside. The train ride was long. Slowly, the city disappeared behind me. I saw green fields out the window. I saw small villages. I saw mountains in the distance. The air became cleaner. My heart began to feel lighter. My grandmother lived in a small wooden house near a forest. When I arrived, she was waiting at the door. She looked older, but her eyes were bright and kind. "Elena," she said. She hugged me tight. "I am so happy you came." We went inside. The house was simple but beautiful. There were flowers on the table. Sunlight came through the windows. Everything smelled like herbs and fresh bread. "Sit down," my grandmother said. "I will make tea." We sat together and drank tea. I looked around the house. I saw old photographs on the walls. I saw my mother as a young girl. I saw myself as a baby. "Grandmother," I said, "why did you ask me to come?" She took my hand. Her hand was warm and soft. "Elena," she said, "I am worried about you. Your mother tells me you are not happy in the city. You work too much. You do not smile anymore." Tears came to my eyes. It was true. I was not happy. "I want to give you something," she continued. "This house. This land. When I die, it will be yours." I was surprised. "But grandmother, I cannot take your home." She smiled. "This house has been in our family for 100 years. Your great-great-grandfather built it with his own hands. He used only hand tools and bamboo from the forest. Every generation has lived here and loved this place. Now it is time for you to decide. Do you want to continue living in the city? Or do you want to come home?" I did not know what to say. The idea frightened me. I knew nothing about living in the countryside. My grandmother could see I was confused. "Stay with me for 1 month," she said. "Learn how we live here. Learn the old ways. Then decide." I agreed. I called my office and told them I needed more time. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of birds singing. Sunlight filled my room. I could smell fresh air and flowers. It was so different from the city. My grandmother was already awake. She was in the garden, working with the plants. "Good morning," she called. "Come help me. I will teach you about the seasons and the land." Living traditionally means to live in tune with the countryside and the seasons and live to the old ways. My grandmother taught me everything. She showed me the garden. "Each season brings different food," she explained. "In spring, we plant seeds. In summer, we harvest vegetables. In autumn, we collect fruit and make preserves. In winter, we rest and plan for the new year. We follow the rhythm of nature." Every day, I learned something new. I learned to plant seeds in straight rows. I learned to pull weeds without hurting the good plants. I learned which herbs were good for cooking and which were good for medicine. One morning, my grandmother took me to a small stream near the house. "This is where I come to find peace," she said. The water was clear and cold. Small fish swam between the rocks. And there, in the shallow water, was a white duck. "That is Happy," my grandmother said with a laugh. "She comes here every day. She is my friend." I sat by the stream and watched Happy swim. The duck came close to me. She was not afraid. I put my hand in the water. Happy came and touched my fingers with her beak. It made me laugh. It was the first time I had laughed in months. This week, I played with Happy the duck in the stream every morning. The simple joy of watching her swim made my heart feel light. I began to understand what my grandmother meant. Life did not need to be complicated to be beautiful. Spring came to the countryside. Everything was blooming. The world was full of color and life. One day, my grandmother said, "Today we will make something special. Come with me." She led me to a tall tree near the house. It was covered in large white flowers. They smelled sweet and fresh. "This is a magnolia tree," she said. "The flowers are not just beautiful. We can eat them too. Today we will harvest magnolia flowers to cook a cake." She showed me how to pick the flowers carefully. We needed only the freshest ones. We filled a basket with the white petals. Back in the kitchen, my grandmother taught me her secret recipe. We mixed the flower petals with flour, sugar, eggs, and honey. The mixture smelled like spring itself. "My mother taught me this recipe," she said. And her mother taught her. Now I am teaching you. This is how we keep our traditions alive. We baked the cake in the old wood stove. The kitchen filled with the most wonderful smell. When the cake was ready, we cut 2 slices and sat outside. I took a bite. The taste was delicate and sweet, with a flavor I had never experienced before. It tasted like sunshine and flowers and happiness. "Grandmother," I said, "this is the most beautiful thing I have ever tasted." She smiled. "The best food comes from nature and love," she said. The weeks passed quickly. I was learning so much, but I still had not made my decision. Should I stay in the countryside or return to the city? Then something happened that changed everything. One night, a terrible storm came. The wind was very strong. Rain fell like rivers from the sky. Thunder shook the house. Lightning lit up the dark sky. My grandmother and I sat together, listening to the storm. She was calm, but I was frightened. "Do not worry," she said. "This old house has survived many storms." But in the morning, we saw the damage. A large tree had fallen on the old shed behind the house. The shed was completely destroyed. My grandmother looked sad.
"That shed was important," she said.
"It was where your great-great-grandfather kept his tools. It was where he worked. Now it is gone." I felt terrible. I hugged my grandmother. "We will build a new one," I said. "I will help you." She looked at me with surprise. "Do you know how to build?" "No," I said. "But you can teach me. You said our great-great-grandfather built this house with his own hands. We can do the same." For the first time, I felt strong and sure. I wanted to help. I wanted to build something with my own hands. The next day, we started planning. My grandmother showed me her grandfather's old tools. They were simple but strong. There were saws, hammers, and chisels. There were no electric machines. Everything was made to be used by hand. This week, Anastasia builds a camper using only hand tools and bamboo, my grandmother said, telling me an old family story. Anastasia was your great-aunt. When she was young, she wanted to travel. So she built a small camper from bamboo and wood. She used only these old tools. She was very skilled. If she could do it, so can you. I was amazed. A woman from my own family had built something so impressive. I felt inspired. We went to the bamboo forest near the house. Bamboo was strong and light. It was perfect for building. My grandmother showed me how to choose the right pieces. We cut the bamboo carefully and carried it home. Every day, we worked together. My grandmother taught me how to measure and cut. She taught me how to join pieces together. She taught me to be patient and careful. My hands became rough and dirty. My arms grew tired. But I felt happy. I was creating something real, something useful, something beautiful. Slowly, the new shed began to take shape. We built the frame from bamboo. We made the roof from wood and old tiles. We built a door that opened and closed perfectly. It took 3 weeks. Some days were hard. Sometimes I made mistakes. But my grandmother was always patient. She encouraged me when I felt frustrated. Building something with your own hands changes you, she said. You become stronger. You become more confident. You learn that you can do difficult things. She was right. Every day I felt different. I felt more capable, more alive. Finally, the shed was finished. It stood strong and beautiful behind the house. I could not believe that I had helped build it. Me, Elena, who had only ever worked with computers and papers. That evening, my grandmother and I sat outside and looked at what we had created. I am proud of you, she said. You have learned so much in just 1 month. My month was ending. Tomorrow I would need to return to the city or decide to stay. That night I could not sleep. I thought about my life in the city, the office, the computer, the noise, the loneliness. I thought about my life here in the countryside, the garden, the stream, Happy the duck, the magnolia cake, building with my own hands, my grandmother's love and wisdom. Which life did I want? I got up and walked outside. The night was clear. The stars filled the sky. They were so bright and beautiful. I had forgotten that stars could look like this. I walked to the stream. The water made a gentle sound in the darkness. I thought I heard Happy the duck making soft sleeping noises in the reeds. And suddenly I knew. I knew what I wanted. I knew where I belonged. This was my home. This had always been my home. I had just forgotten. The next morning I told my grandmother my decision. I want to stay, I said. I want to live here. I want to learn everything you can teach me. I want to live the old ways. I want to follow the seasons. I want to keep our family traditions alive. My grandmother cried, but they were happy tears. She held me close. I hoped you would choose this, she whispered, but you needed to decide for yourself. Now you are truly home. I called my office. I told them I would not be coming back. It felt scary but also right. I was choosing a different path. The next few months were busy. I moved all my things from the city. I sold most of them. I did not need much here. My grandmother taught me more every day. I learned to preserve food for winter. I learned to make bread. I learned to read the weather by watching the clouds and the animals. I learned which plants grew in each season. I learned the names of all the birds that visited our garden. I learned to fix things when they broke. I learned to make things instead of buying them. I learned that I could live with less and be happier. Happy the duck became my close friend. Every morning, I visited her at the stream. Sometimes I brought her treats. She would follow me around like a pet. Her simple, happy nature reminded me to find joy in small things.
The seasons changed.
Summer came with hot sun and abundant vegetables. I learned to work in the garden even when I was tired. The work was hard but satisfying. At the end of each day, I could see what I had accomplished. Autumn arrived with cool air and falling leaves. My grandmother and I picked apples from the old trees. We made apple preserves and dried fruit for winter. We gathered herbs and hung them to dry in the shed I had helped build. You see, my grandmother said, we are preparing for winter. In the old ways, we must think ahead. We must plan. We must work with the seasons, not against them. Winter came with snow and cold winds, but our house was warm. We had firewood that we had cut and stacked. We had food that we had preserved. We had wool blankets that my grandmother had made years ago. Before we start, we'd love for you to watch the story carefully and, at the end, rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your opinion helps us understand what kind of stories you enjoy and guides us to create even better content for you. On cold evenings, we sat by the fire. My grandmother told me stories about our family. She told me about my great-great-grandfather who built this house. She told me about Anastasia, who built the bamboo camper. She told me about all the people who had lived here and loved this land. You are part of this story now, she said. One day, you will tell these stories to your children and grandchildren. This is how we keep our family alive. Spring came again. 1 full year had passed since I had arrived. I was now 26 years old, but I felt like a completely different person. I was stronger. My body was healthy from good food and hard work. My hands could build and create. My mind was clear and peaceful. But most importantly, my heart was full. I was happy. Truly, deeply happy. One morning in spring, I walked to the magnolia tree. It was blooming again, covered in beautiful white flowers. I picked the flowers carefully, just as my grandmother had taught me. I took them to the kitchen and made the magnolia cake. The whole process felt natural now. My hands knew what to do. When the cake was ready, I cut 2 slices. I took them outside where my grandmother was sitting in the sun. I made magnolia cake, I said, sitting beside her. She took a bite and smiled. Perfect, she said. You have learned well. We sat together in comfortable silence, eating cake and watching Happy the duck waddle up from the stream. Are you happy? My grandmother asked. I thought about her question. A year ago, I had been lost, empty, disconnected from life. Now I knew how to grow food, build things, and live with the seasons. I had a purpose. I had skills. I had a home. Yes, I said. I am truly happy. Thank you for bringing me home, grandmother. Thank you for teaching me the old ways. Thank you for showing me that there is another way to live. She took my hand. You saved yourself, Elena. I only showed you the door. You chose to walk through it. That evening, I stood outside and looked at everything around me. The house that had stood for 100 years. The garden full of growing things. The shed I had helped build. The stream where Happy lived. The magnolia tree full of flowers. This was my life now. A simple life. A traditional life. A life in tune with the countryside and the seasons. Some people might think I gave up something when I left the city, but I knew the truth. I had not given up anything. I had found everything. I had found myself. I had found my home. I had found my purpose. And I had found happiness in the simplest things: clear water, white flowers, a duck's friendship, and the wisdom of the old ways. This was not the end of my story. It was only the beginning. There would be more seasons, more lessons, more challenges, more growth. But I was ready. I was home. And I would never be lost again. Now that you've seen the whole story, we would really appreciate it if you rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your thoughts help us improve and make sure we bring you the kind of stories you truly enjoy.